I'm going to start recording just so we get it started. And you can, I'm going to make Parnama, where'd you go, Parnama? I lost you. There you are. Parnama, I'm going to make you host, and you're going to have to let people in and mute. I'm changing host to you. Let me know, Parnama.
Yeah, and
okay, your host.
And Hiren also needs to share his.
Yeah. So Shireen's gonna have to. Hareen's gonna have to be able. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, but you have to make me host or co-host. I don't know. Otherwise,
no, I think you just have to allow him to share screen.
When I say share screen, it's telling me host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, she's gonna let you be host. Parnama's got points.
Amit, I can't share unless I am the host.
Yeah. Parnima, can you make Hiren as the host, please?
Sure, Amit. 1 second.
She's working on it. It's going as fast as she can. All right.
Yeah, Hiren, you're the host now. You can share it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, stop. And can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah, and you're gonna have to make me be able to see too. And let me check mine because I'm gonna kick off.
We just have 5 more minutes to go.
Yeah. Can you allow me to? I need to share my screen. Okay, share screen. Got it. Okay. Host is disabled. Parma, can you make me host?
But Shannon, if you will share screen, then it will become difficult for me to again. Do you need to, because whatever you want is actually here.
No, I had some things I'm going to kick off and talk about. Yep, that's great. If we can, it'd be great if I could. It shouldn't be that bad to just be able to share. Now that you're enabled to share, you'll be able to share your screen. It should be okay. Parnama, can you make me allowed to share screen? So that I can share my presentation and I can introduce the IoT meetup.
I think we could have actually added here itself,
What was that?
So you will have to then pass it back to me and then I have to open
it's okay. Yep, then I'll pass it to you. You bet.
Okay.
I'm going to be like 5 minutes. Won't be much. I just want to introduce.
So let me stop sharing now. Okay.
Parma, can you let me share? Are you still there, Parma? You're on mute.
Parnima, can you please
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Amit, I am not the host. I think Hiren has to make.
Hiren, can you make Shannon the host? You can.
Oh, you guys are passing hosts around? Okay.
Yeah, I'm now looking.
There's a way. Okay.
Yeah. You just need to click on the participants, go to participants, and on Shannon's name, just say make her the host.
Okay.
Good morning, Haydn.
Oh God, just a moment. Okay, I mean, I don't know. The screens are just moving,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go to the participants, Hiren, just on the bottom. Once you open it up, you will get the list of all participants on the right-hand side. You can just go to Shannon and make her the host.
Okay, perfect. Shannon, you are the host now.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to try to do this. Share my screen. Okay.
Shan?
Am I sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, great. that. And then let me go and I'm going to click on, let me see here. There you are, Harry. I'm going to make host, allow to record, allow multi-pin. Is there in the waiting room? Okay, Parnava, maybe you can look to see. Okay. We're gonna have to watch the waiting room. I'm not sure how to do that if I move it over to him, but okay. I don't see anything that says allow him to share, so that's why you made him host. I got it.
Good morning, Brent, Shannon. Hi.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Okay, we got 3 people in the waiting room, so we're gonna have people keep coming in. I'm not sure how Harry is going to be able to let people in.
Good morning, Hayden.
Good morning. Morning, Srini.
Okay, good
Morning,
morning.
Aaron.
Can the HCL team please look to see how we can, and we can chat back and forth through WhatsApp. If we can please ask you to look and see how to do 2 hosts, because we're not seeing it on our screen. So if you can get your expert in. Okay.
Or if you can just share these 4 slides, we can ourselves show it and it will be in one
Yeah,
flow.
and I'll pass it. Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm gonna make you the host. What's gonna be a little bit of a challenge is making sure if people are coming in late that you can admit them in. That's the thing I'm a little bit nervous about. Okay. So we have somebody else that's coming in. I'll let that go. I'll watch the time. We got 2 minutes. I'll keep letting people in for 2 minutes. Got 3 people in. Welcome, guys. We'll get started here in just a minute. We got 1 more minute. More people are coming in. I just drew on my screen. Make sure it's not my phone. Whoever did that. I was gonna be worried. I have that going on the whole time. Okay. Great, we got more people coming in. Okay.
I started my massage business about.
I'll find that.
Hi, Brent, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
We have Haydn on. We have Brent on.
You might want to
You
turn
have all
off,
the speakers? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, turn off your annotate.
How do I do that? I love that. Thank you. All right. Yeah.
I think as the host under view options at the top there.
Okay.
Oh, on the Zoom bar thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hit view options
And the options are,
at the
Next.
top.
I'm
At the
looking.
very top by the Zoom thing, the Zoom bar
Okay, the Zoom bar is
At the top.
at the very top.
the very top up
There
here.
you go.
Oh, you're not seeing the,
I'm seeing Keynote. Let me see here. Okay. It's okay. What we're going to do, it looks like we got all the speakers on. I'm going to go ahead and start. So welcome, and I'll try to keep letting people in as long as I can. I will pass the host over. to Harin, but we'll go ahead and get started, okay? Because I know there's only so much time. So let me get here. Oh, there's more people coming in. Okay, welcome. See if I can get this out of the way here. All right, I do have the annotate on, right? So anyway, welcome. This is an IoT Peoria meetup. I would like to welcome everybody here. We have some great speakers. And I just spelled it. There we go. That's not it. I'll restart it. I'm going to go ahead and pass the host over to you, Harin, but welcome. I'll just kind of talk through it. Let me pass it over. Let me see here. Looking for your name, Harin.
Yes, still you have to make me host, then only I
Yeah,
can.
that's where I'm going. Just a minute. Still looking for you, Harin. There you are. Okay. I'm going to pass the host back. This worked better yesterday, so I'll make you the host. We had a co-host option that worked a lot better. So I'm passing it to you. Take just a minute. While that's passing to you, I'll go ahead and just welcome everybody. This is a Peoria IoT meetup. This is an opportunity for technology enthusiasts to get together to really share technology. There's a few things we do. We share technology. We also have an opportunity to do some networking and to share ideas. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. We have an exciting topic today. We're going to be having HCL come and talk really about the main talk's like about ecosystems. So I'm really excited to hear this. So I'm going to first ask everybody if they could mute their phone. And also, if you could put your questions in the chat, that would be awesome. This meeting is, I wanted to let you guys know, is being recorded. So we'll go ahead and record it, and we will post it out on the LinkedIn event and also on the IoT meetup. So with that, Harin, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. And thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
Please mute your phones, guys. I hear somebody talking, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Harin.
Yeah, Sharon, there's a lot of echo and feedback. If folks could mute, that would help probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So Harin, you are the host. If you can mute all. Thank you. That's great. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So thank you, Shannon, and thank you, all the speakers and all the attendants who are joining today. So what we're going to talk about today is the emergence of new digital ecosystems in the market and how the whole the enterprise world is, responding to the complete power shift that is happening, especially in the B2B marketplace. So let's get started and let's enjoy the show, including the comments made by the some distinguished panel who is joining us today. So let me start by sharing the I hope it is moving. Okay. Right. So along with me, my profile, I'm managing the global industrial manufacturing sector, including the initiatives on digital industry 4.0 in HCL Technologies. Along with me is joining today is Haydn, Director Global Supply Chain for Caterpillar. Haydn, if you want to say hello.
Yes, good morning. Pleased to be on the team this morning and looking forward to the presentation and the discussion at the end.
Thank you. And the next panel member is Brent. Brent, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I think this is going to be a very informative session and looking forward to the dialogue.
Thank you, Brent. And along with me is also our consulting partners, BCG. Vladimir, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually. I spend all of my time in the within large industrial firms, thinking through their digital transformation stories and building their ecosystem. So excited to share perspectives today with Haydn and Brent and Kiran.
Thank you, Vladimir. So let's just jump into the into the topic, which is I'm sorry for this shifting. Okay, are you able to see the screen now or no?
And then you just need to press the presentation, the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
So this is the structure of the session today. Introduction we already made. I'll talk about the data platforms and its play in the overall ecosystems economy, and then we'll go into the panel discussion, and there'll be a obviously a time to ask questions and kind of share the insights that all of us will get from the speakers. So let me start by saying that you see this picture, it's showing the world and the different technology elements and the everything which is happening around this, our world that we are living in. So you see, wind turbines, you see wireless, you see it's about how do we increase the GDP of the internet, by leveraging the technologies across the world, and that's what it's all about, leveraging data and experience, across the economy. So let me just start by saying that what are we starting with today is some kind of a crossroads we are into. It's some kind of a Henry Ford moment, if I were to say, where it's for various enterprises, traditional legacy companies to start leveraging this Henry Ford moment, and those who are leveraging it using data, using the experience-centric deliverables in the marketplace, they have been able to capture the value, and those who are not able to do it are actually going to be lagging behind. So here is just an example that where Tesla was 2-3 years back, and today the valuation of Tesla is more than the combined valuation of the 7 big OEMs that you might have seen. Universal might have driven cars, and that is the shift that we are talking about here. So this is not one of the incremental impact that the world is facing. This is very pivotal, and this is more like a moment of, I would say, a major shift in the world. So it's almost like a wake-up call, and unless we treat it like that, we won't be able to realize the opportunity that is available in the market. Now, if you look at if I were to divide, the legacy enterprises and the current new enterprises in the way they exist in the world, I see that there are ecosystems. There are value chains around product, and you can actually monetize the IP-centric benefits. There are service players. There are also technology players who have been there and who are new technology companies coming up in the market. And then there are also ecosystem players. And you can clearly see that the product-centric companies have been normally at the valuation of 1 to 1.5 times of the revenue base, and services have been doing slightly better with 2 or 3 times valuation. Technology platform companies have been having higher valuation, but the clear winners are actually the ecosystem players, right? So these are the companies which are largely the network orchestrators like Amazon. And what we're saying is that more and more you move from being an asset building, play into ecosystem play, you're able to build a larger valuation for yourself and your entire ecosystem. So the world is all about how you move from being an IP-centric economy to a marketplace economy, right? And below are some examples, and if you look at the trend that we are seeing in the market is softwareization was always there. I mean, we used to softwareize the products, and that's one way of moving into the into the new ecosystem play through softwareization, and then be a technology company and start playing in the ecosystem. On the other side, if you see, servitization have been there. My friends will know 10 years back also we talked about it, but how we kind of quickly move and using the new elements of cloud and AI and all that, pragmatic AI, and bring business into a business as a service model. And then you are actually able to play in an ecosystem economy. So these are the two distinct, examples we are seeing. Some of the enterprises you see below, like Amazon started as a logistics, went into a cloud play, and today they are almost playing into every industry segment, like healthcare to insurance to even industries, right? So, and they're also allowing their competition to use their cloud platforms. So it's all about co-optation, and leveraging the data more and more through multiple elements, right? So Amazon is a great example that way, using multiple technology levers to really moving ahead in the market with almost 10 to 12 times of valuation of their revenue, right? But you also see examples like Tesla moving fast while they are seeing a product on wheels and how they're creating economy around that. And you also see that there are companies like Pingan, it was an insurance provider company, and how they've actually moved to being a healthcare company, and even going to a zone of an education company, and they are building their larger valuation through the access they have into the user base across the world. And you see examples like GE, where inaction or inadequate action can even bring you down. And you have an example like Siemens, where creating an ecosystem around Siemens healthcare itself has given much larger push for Siemens into the marketplace. So let me just go ahead, but these are just examples of how enterprises are reacting to the current moment, and leveraging it in the marketplace. And and there is an example, where you can actually directly move from take a leapfrog view and go from a product to a direct digitalization route and go into the ecosystem play. So there are, of course, examples. These are going to be the companies which are really new, totally new companies, and have never been there with zero legacies into the current market. Now, if you look at the another fact is that there is a polarization happening. The world is getting divided into 12 large ecosystems, as you see in this chart here, and it's all about how do we. These are consumer centric, customer experience centric economies, and what they do is that a consumer once enters this ecosystem, he doesn't leave it. He can get access to different experience that he needs in his life cycle, through the same ecosystems, and you can keep on monetizing, the same user for different, services and experience that he needs. So that's kind of a polarization happening. And if you can actually create an ecosystem around you by playing more, a trusted play with the stakeholders, you are able to play in the larger ecosystems, right? And you see a lot of examples like this, and we'll cover that, in the some of the examples in the later part of this presentation.
Hey,
And you can see that,
excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a lot of people in the waiting room. You're the host. I apologize. We had a co-host option yesterday. We don't today. But would you be able to just pause for a minute and let them in?
yes.
And then we'll continue in. There should be a waiting room.
Okay.
Maybe at the top.
Sorry.
I think I admitted all now. So
okay.
Thank you for
Yes.
that. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay. I think so now different enterprises are on different journey. Obviously everybody has started the initiatives around it, but you clearly see that the positive aspect is that the journey is started, and also almost.
Kiran, apologies. Did you just unmute everyone or let everyone in? I think you might have just unmuted folks who are on the call, but not let the new ones in.
Moment. Amit, you want to?
Yeah. Shirin, if you can just pass the host to Shannon, she can quickly admit everyone. Make Shannon a host.
Okay.
Go to the participants and make Shannon the host.
Guys, I'm really sorry about this. We had a much better process all lined out before. So this happens sometimes, and you have some technology challenges. So we'll just work through it. And I just want to say thank you. I can reclaim the host. I reclaimed it. Okay. But thank you, guys. Let me see if I can find the waiting room. Okay. I'm looking too, right? Usually it's there. You know, we can still see your stream. Why don't you continue speaking, Haran, and I'll try to work this out, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just go ahead by just saying that the journey has started and you already see, revenues kicking in some of these legacy enterprises by, adopting digital. Now, if you look at the, an enterprise, traditionally the green arrows are so, that is the spectrum where they were going from, design to service play. And I think when we talk about ecosystem, actually it's the play which they have to bring what we call, the eastbound and the westbound play, and that's where they'll start, creating ecosystem around them using data, from the suppliers to suppliers all the way up to enterprise and actually leveraging it all the way from customer, right? So this is the shift that we are seeing, and a typical way of doing this has been a data platform, and then again manifesting it further, with a larger digital service platform. Right, I mean, this is what is, and more deeper and deeper you can go, both on the east, on the on the west, and then you can actually create a larger ecosystem. But what is the shape of the value chain? The shape of the value chain is pretty much linear. So you have supplier have a view of supplier. So adjacency is the maximum view that a supplier have today, or an enterprise have today. It is not really an ecosystem play because the way the value chain has been organized. And so typically you see a bidirectional flow of data and experience, from enterprise to supplier, and same way on the other side from customers to customer, and so on. So the idea is that if you want to, leverage the data, for the overall economic growth, you will have to open out this. There has to be an open play. There has to be a trusted environment across all the stakeholders that they are interested in sharing the data, and they also get benefit of that. So every stakeholder wants to see, why should I share data? What data can I share? And then what do I get in return? For example, a sub-supplier wants to have sharing his data. At the same time, he wants to have a better visibility of demand. He wants to have a predictable schedule. He can have a volume-based discussion with the, with the enterprise, and benefit from them. And likewise, if a customer wants to share data, he wants to have then the product at lower cost, and with a much more life cycle management possible, and more life cycle services view. So that's how actually you create a trusted ecosystem. And let me go to the next item of how can we actually convert this into some kind of a hub model, and bring data in the center. So you look at converting the shape of the value chain from a linear and sequential model to some kind of a customer centric model, and bring a data platform in the middle where it can be shared. The data can be shared across the stakeholders, through a common data platform, and then there is a visibility of different insights available to all the stakeholders, and you can use a mechanism like blockchain, while deciding what data to share, what not to share, and what can be edited and what cannot be edited. But nonetheless, more and more data sharing is allowing you to create more, end user experience and start monetizing it. For example, logistics and insurance can be a additional ecosystem players on top of everything else that you saw so far, which is just a supplier or a dealer or a customer set, right? So can I have a usage-based insurance that I can offer, to my ecosystem? We are going into autonomous vehicles. There is no driver. In which case, how do I create a usage-based insurance, and kind of ensure that, I can actually have a more lesser cost of insurance and kind of more predictable logistics, having much more deeper visibility into the track and trace of the material. I can avoid the different situation like tampering of my materials, counterfeit materials, having more spares and availability of inventory at the right location and things like that. So we're going to talk about now, the use cases that we are seeing. But before that, let me go into the, what is the architecture? I mean, the way we are looking at is that we are talking about, uh, bringing a horizontal integration, from east to west, and kind of creating more, stakeholder view. How do we actually create a hyperscale of it? Because ROI has been a major issue in the what we have seen practically in the world today, and that's where we saw the impact has been 5 to 10% in terms of these investments, and the companies have not been able to fully monetize it. So we believe that bringing scale to this initiatives through a common data platform, and then exposing it through a composable architecture that you can compose different systems and you can integrate it well, and at this time bring it, through a platform like Picasso is our HCL platform, which brings it to the, all the different stakeholders of the ecosystem, and bringing finance, more logistics, insurance play into your world, and having a more and more service play there. At the same time, you can even extend it to the, to the bottom part, where we're talking about how do we use data also for improvement of enterprise, value chains, and that there should not be any internal divide also within the enterprise. So data can be used to improve the product design. Data can be used to improve the, logistics within the company. So innovation also is a very big part where data can also play a lot of role. So when you only look at the, external monetization, of course it's a huge play, but you should also look at internal monetization of the data. Then ROI is far better, and you learn a lot, and actually it becomes an integral play of data across your, ecosystem, starting from your own enterprise to the, entire ecosystem of your customers. Okay. Here are some examples. When companies have been trying to do it, we talked about the 12 large economies, and the customer experience centric economies on the top, and the customer creation experience centric economies on the bottom. Now look at the company which is into aerospace OEM. They have used this data platform to integrate and create an open platform that the whole ecosystem can participate, through this open data technology platform. You have almost 130 airlines here. You have 5,000 suppliers here. You have more than 20,000 users here. They all can access the complete aviation industry. So it's an aviation data platform, started one aerospace OEM, and now started monetizing, offering more services to the airline industries, also to the airports, and also to the fleet management companies. And I think everybody's benefiting from it. At the same time, the wastage is going down, and the more and more data plays coming into the, into the overall ecosystem. So this is of course an example of an aerospace OEM, and so it is very much a traditional B2B enterprise which is venturing out into a aviation ecosystem platform play. Similarly, heavy machinery or legacy enterprises can also go and start playing in the other bubbles of the ecosystems, going from machinery play to a, can I actually also offer some kind of visibility into the site data, and offer a site service management, offer a different kind of other experience, even in the logistics and in the end user monetization, which can actually give a lot of benefit to OEMs as well as to the stockholders, right? So we are actually seeing this in the market. It is just started, and it's a question of how do we, adopt it, and how do you kind of incrementally grow it, to add on different kind of services. So now let me go to the, the example of, this is just set of example which we have put, like, which is like in the area of logistics, where we say, you have forward logistics, you have reverse logistics. Forward logistics is a very important play, which is where you can have a track and trace of material across from supplier to enterprise to going down all the way to the end customer. And this is very important because you don't want any tampering with your material and with your product, while en route to the customer's warehouse. And you want to also maintain the loyalty and ensure that the reputation is protected. Reverse logistics also is a very genuine issue in the market today, as you all know, and you want to have a lot of visibility into that, make it more productive, make it much more beneficial in a way that you have lower inventory needs to take care of reverse logistics requirements. So there are different examples here, which we will probably take on also tomorrow with a proper demo on that, how it can actually help the customers monetize the reverse logistics use cases. Smart contracts is a very important thing, which is again coming from the point of view of how you can have different stakeholders coming together through a blockchain-based contracts, and it's open ledger, distributed ledger with certain information shared, and it can be edited as it moves on, and used by different stakeholders. But in the same way that it actually creates a lot of transparency and dissolves borders and automates some of the process. For example, custom clearance. We all have seen too much of wastage of time and efficiency loss during custom clearance, which can be quickly avoided if you are actually embarking into a smart contract kind of a model. So cost reduction is another thing, which is obviously a huge advantage, as you can use data more and more to increase the customer service level. You don't need 2 or 3 trips. You go, either you solve it from remote, you actually have a predictive resolution possible, or you go only once to a site with the right spares and solve the customer issue. So I think end to end, all we are trying to say is that more and more companies are shifting their focus from being an IP-centric enterprise to ecosystem-centric enterprise. They are able to capture the moment and start playing the in the new in the newer world in a much better way. But probably I would just stop here right now, and probably it's time for us to get into the panel discussion and then also hear from speakers what are their viewpoints, and then we will have a session where all of you can also ask some more questions. If that's fine with you, Shannon, I can actually move on to the panel discussion.
That sounds great. Please do. Looks like we got everything working, guys. So that's great. I can't wait to hear this. This is just awesome. I love the ecosystem. I love the, 1 + 1 + 20 = 1 million. This is awesome. It's great.
Okay, so as we are going towards this, we talked about creation of new digital ecosystem and start playing in the ecosystem, but it would mean different for a different enterprises, pure asset intensive companies, and those who are in product plus service play. So let's ask the forum. Let's ask the speakers the question about what does it mean for the different industries, and how do you see the reaction from the market on the development that you are seeing in the market. So I think you can go ahead and first, and then we can go to Brent and then to
thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was actually quite interesting, and it's first time I've seen the final version, and it is a bit of an eye-opener. From my perspective, I do spend a lot of time looking at manufacturing and manufacturing industry, and I've sort of been involved in quite a lot of the research in applying digital IoT, Industry 4.0 in the manufacturing space. And what I'm seeing is really the first wave of this is really around large companies, large corporations, and they'll start naturally with their customer and work backwards into their business, eventually reaching the point where they can connect their manufacturing operations through their customer back into their product design. And so what we're seeing are really large corporations striving to achieve this end-to-end connectivity and then starting to build out their own ecosystem. For smaller companies and suppliers, what seems to be happening there is they're sort of joining larger ecosystems that are starting to develop. And so I think what we are going to see is, a proliferation of large groupings of manufacturing, systems, and smaller companies joining those for the benefit of their business. And that may in fact be an opportunity, because the smaller companies certainly won't have the level of investment or capability as a really large corporation may, but they'll be able to join into an ecosystem, and we are starting to see this. So I do think we are actually on the verge of quite a shift in how manufacturing businesses operate and how they plan, and even potentially how they share their assets.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that insight. Brent, if you want to comment, please.
Absolutely. Good morning. And the first rule of improv is yes and. So I agree with what Haydn mentioned. As small, medium, and large enterprises continue to develop that connectivity and that understanding internally, it also allows us to look at approaching the customer differently. And it's moving away from simply a product and an associated service to more focused on outcomes of running entire sites, for example, managing assets that may not necessarily be your own from your company. Yeah. And again, stitching this all together to really understand, drive insights from the resulting data, and be able to not only monetize that, but continue to drive improvement through that entire connected value chain. So it's a very exciting time for modern manufacturing.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And to build off of that, Brent, in your spirit of yes and, right? I'm seeing a huge influx of the experts from the B2C world into the B2B world, as the companies that we're talking about struggle to understand how to orchestrate this, right? And build an offer end-to-end, manage it, convince the finance team of what the ROI is on moves like that take many, many years versus 1 quarter. And what you're seeing is a lot of the talent is being pulled from the companies that have been doing this for a while, mainly in the B2C world. And so there's the retraining or rewiring of the B2B companies that's going on right now, which is extremely energizing, because it's a lot of clash of cultures, if you will, right, and mindsets. So that's just been a fascinating thing to see how it's evolving and how that muscle is being built.
Okay, interesting. So I think that builds upon the the second question of, so once you realize that you got to act, as I said, cost of inaction is huge, and there is a huge at play right now. So how do you kind of rewire? How do you kind of reimagine, redefine enterprise to play in the ecosystem economy? I mean, you need a strong digital strategy, to start with, and then of course a roadmap. So it would be interesting to hear from you. What are your views on, how do we go about it?
Yeah, would you like just to sort of go through again? So, I think the most interesting thing here is there's a general recognition that things are changing. Some companies are ahead of it and really driving that change directly through their enterprise. Others are sort of seeing, yeah, this is important, but we're not yet sure what it means. And I would say smaller companies are starting to join ecosystems, but they may not yet know what they are. And so how to redefine your enterprise, I think you've really got to start to simplify what an IoT strategy is and how that really affects the drivers of particularly manufacturing companies, because this is really something now that's opening up into their playing field.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Absolutely, Hayden, and I think this is where we get into the key, some of the key precepts of IoT, of driving simplicity, also having interoperability between various solutions and platforms within the ecosystem, and it drives and needs to have some data governance, which is key. I would say modern manufacturing tends to generate incredible amounts of data, of which we only use a small portion currently. How do we not drown in the data and be able to drive useful insights with interoperable, value-adding technologies and solutions? That will be a key. We have to start with the end in mind.
Sort of connecting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would add, there's a component of the level of ambition and visioning that companies need to do, right? And think through what could be the different outcomes in an industry and which causes them to reshape. So let's take, for example, take a roofing industry in the US. It's a $6-7 billion industry. If you look at just what goes on the roofs, call it $10 billion. And the whole place to sell more roofs, right? And increase the retrofit rates, etc. But let's say if you're Elon Musk and you're participating in a $200 billion industry and the bottleneck is the charging stations for the cars, right? So you can essentially go and retrofit all the roofs in a country for $10 billion, even if it's for free, and unlock a totally different play where you're then offering electricity for the cars in people's homes. And you eliminate a big pain in your ecosystem, but you essentially annihilate an existing industry because now you're moving from a roofing shingle to a solar panel, right? That's generating electricity. So, whoa, that's a big shift, right? And so that's the type of imagination that the B2B companies need to be thinking about their industries and ecosystems where they're playing and asserting a bold set of plays. Some of them will be out there and are not actionable, but through that exercise and the motion, they will identify what that ecosystem play could be. And then you can work from that to build the capabilities and both data assets and data infrastructure, but also the human capabilities to execute those plays.
So what, but fundamentally, if I were to, ask you is that it comes very naturally to a digitally native company, it's like, it's a very fundamental to, it's a digital core which they have, and they are building on top of it. So I think the next question is all about, how to create a new digital core? What are the key levers for you to, you're competing with the digital native, everywhere, frankly, it's a matter of time. And as we talked about the 12 ecosystems, so how do you what are the key levers, to practically deploy, your initiatives around the adoption of technology?
Yeah, this is interesting because if you're a sort of medium-sized company, let's say, or you're going to be thinking now, well, how do I stay ahead of this? How do I connect my business? What do I need to do? And I think these various ecosystems that will be clearer in the next 12, 24 months even will start to emerge, and the levers are going to be all around where do I need to be with regard to my customer? How do I connect my customers' information through my business to my suppliers? How do I operate my business? So how does all my data get shared in an ecosystem that I'm comfortable with? And part of that's going to be security of data, interconnectivity, technologies such as blockchain, which, we all hear those words, but a lot of companies still struggle with, well, what does that mean? How do I use that? And I think it's going to be as you start to look at these entrants, the players in the market, such as Amazon, who may well even start to move into offering, an ecosystem that you plug into to get paid, to schedule your factory, to get your sales. this is the play they're pushing towards, is to own end to end the whole process, that you then use, the whole interplay and the whole interconnectivity of that data. So I think the levers are going to be around what does the customer want and how quickly can we fulfill that need. So it's going to be this acceleration of customer demand that's going to push us into ecosystems, and companies that are going to be able to offer this are going to start to emerge, I think, probably in the next year or so. That's going to be very clear then, what the play is, and whose ecosystem do you join if it's up to you, as opposed to
absolutely. And why only one? I mean,
right.
You play in all the four quadrants, whichever way you want. So even sky is not the limit, so it's up to you. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Brent, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I would add to that too is the democratization of data becomes more and more important. To leverage the Tesla example, to continue with that, Elon Musk and Tesla is learning from every single car that's on the road and using that data to make better services, make the cars more efficient, and pushing those updates back out to the cars. That's only possible if you have a standard data platform. And so it becomes more and more important as companies are larger in size, that they really think about how do they control the data, the structure, and the governance to be able to take those insights from the customer, be able to drive either new business models, new services, new offerings, but then be able to push that back out to the customers. And without that thinking and structure of the end in mind, that becomes not only very painful, but very expensive. So again, having understanding the democratization needed for the data and some data structure and governance is incredibly crucial in this stage.
Very true. Mm-hmm. So, Lisik, if you want to also reflect on the strategy part of it. So data engineering comes out like, whatever Haydn and Brent mentioned as a very key element, before we start monetizing the data. So, I feel that it's a very key lever, of having your data much more curated and insight ready. Huh?
Yeah, and it's thinking through, one of the things that companies need to think through is what is their role in the whole ecosystem, right? Do they want to be an orchestrator, or they want to be just a participant, right? And if they're a participant, are they participant just from the hardware side or just from the software side? And where I see too many companies spin their wheels is they try to do all of those things, right? And then as a result, they don't do any of them well, and they confuse the partners in the ecosystem as well, right? So let's say you want to join an ecosystem, but you start posturing and behaving as an orchestrator. Well, whoever is the bigger and stronger orchestrator will start not engaging with you, right? They'll cut off the data feeds to your access to the platform. If you are just doing the hardware, but your hardware is not data enabled, you cannot share the data, etc., you again cannot participate in the ecosystem, right? So you got to at least make it accessible and open. So there's a lot of, depending on the play you decide to execute, right? You must be deliberate. And the worst thing is to just not be explicit about it and try all these things in parallel. You end up just with a lot of zombie projects that kind of you're half foot in each of the ecosystems, but not really unlocking any of the value, right? So that's an important step that each of the companies needs to go through. Some of it might evolve through time, right? But the faster the companies are to being deliberate about it, the better it is.
I think if you're a large player and potentially a driver and an owner of an ecosystem is one thing. Your interest is managing and orchestrating. If you're a smaller player, your interest is going to be participating and getting paid. So the ecosystem is going to handle all of that. And you just got to look at these new entrants like Penguin. I mean, we are going to see some really remarkable shifts in how business is done in the manufacturing space, I think, in the next few years to come.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Hayden, that one raises another question, just to spice it up a bit, right? We'd love to kind of hear your reactions and Brent's, which is, in some of the mature industries, take some places where you have someone like an ABB and Siemens and GE where they compete, right? They all believe they can be the owner of the ecosystem, right? And then by definition, there won't be 5 ecosystems, there will be one, right? And that opens a space for, like Tesla in the auto, to come from the side and essentially create an ecosystem, right? So that's an interesting dynamic. Would love any kind of reactions. You're living it as well, right? Day to day.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm operating a business, a manufacturing company, let's say, I mean, that's where I'm really focused my thoughts. Joining a Siemens ecosystem doesn't pay me. Yes, it will help me certainly connect my data and manage my business, but the advantage and the attraction is going to be when a broader approach is applied, and I'm going to do business in this space. It's going to be more than just a tactical operational thing. This is a whole business approach that we have to look at.
Exactly. So I think the sharing of benefits is a very critical part of this ecosystem growth. So now but we also see that there are, I mean, there are too many technology elements, and when you look at asset intensive company, they have, of course, center of excellence around standard mechanical engineering, design, simulation, and of course a very, very deep expertise on the feature centric products, but now we are bringing something which is experience centric element into your innovation paradigm, and that actually happens through new elements like whether it's AR, VR, edge computing, and various things that we are seeing with AI. ML is almost becoming an integral part of every process. So how do you kind of create these digital capabilities within the enterprise and start consumption of it in a way that you kind of go towards becoming a digitally native enterprise, right? And this we are seeing as because this needs investment, so you have to again make a choice what to buy, what to build, and so what are your views on how do companies build digital capabilities?
Yep. Personally, I see these as both characteristics and enablers. As a company, you're going to use pieces of these that reflect your core business and your core competencies, and some of these clearly can be connected together in a way to accelerate the the efficiency and the velocity of your business. And then once you have that capability, you're able to play in a broader ecosystem, and I think that's the key here. So you've got to be able to envision a strategy for your own business that pulls in the right pieces of the technology that adds value right away to your business to allow you to be more competitive and agile and do business. But then you've got to use that and leverage that to play in a broader ecosystem, and I think that's the way to look at this.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Hayden. I mean, it's so important that you're able to align back to a strategy that not only is advancing your business capabilities, efficiencies, profitability, market share, all of those things, right? But also taking a look at from an ecosystem perspective, this might help prioritize some technologies over others.
Yeah.
Right. And again, looking at not just technology for technology's sake, but focus on the needs of the business, the needs of the ecosystem. That becomes a different lens or filter that you can look at these options, these technologies of what would best suit those. Otherwise, it could very easily be trying to boil the ocean. Again, we need to prioritize and look at what is the best fit for the business, its needs, and the ecosystem that we're playing and competing in.
Mm-hmm. Remember, any advantage you create, it only has a limited duration. There is always somebody or something that will be around the corner And so you have to stay ahead of this. You have to think about, you know, what will work for our business, my business, where does this fit in my strategy? So you have to start thinking more strategically as a business.
Absolutely.
Clock speed is moving faster and faster every year. Yeah.
And off of that, Haydn, what I'm seeing companies that kind of grasp this do is they're super deliberate about which of these are table stakes and everybody in the industry is going to have access to, right? And the game is over and we know who is the default standard. So let's just get proficient at using it, versus which ones of these are interesting, shiny objects, but will, you know, come to fruition 10, 15 years down the line. So let's say, let's keep access to it and let's keep learning, but let's not extend ourselves. And then what are one or two that will, for our industry specifically, totally change how we operate and will give us competitive advantage if we're ahead of it, right? And if I think about B2B world stuff around, you know, AI and ML embedded into the equipment, right, at the edge, that's not science fiction anymore, right? And if you can create a very clever set of plays around that, you then link into the broader ecosystem and make sure data can go where it needs to go. Like there's some very interesting plays in that world. I would say AR, VR, the augmented reality, virtual reality is a big deal for technicians, right, in the B2B world. And solutions are probably not where they need to be, but I think in 2 to 3 years are going to be there, right? So it's worth investing time for that so that you're ahead of it when it hits. So just some reactions.
Thank you for that. Thank you. You know, what we see, guys, that there is also a good possibility, you know, of having a technology partnership with, you know, different technology product companies or service companies and build those capabilities as an extended engineering team and not having everything in-house and then, you know, incrementally adopting it as you go ahead, as you rightly mentioned. You should evaluate what makes sense for us to invest into, to start with. So we do see this kind of a technology partnerships evolving in the market. And then that brings me to the, you know, the last point that, of course, we already talked about it. You already talked about it, but I think business model is a very, you know, significant part, and companies also have to be a little bit comfortable by opening out the API economy side of it. You know, that means how do you make, you know, grow at the edges is much more important for you than at the core, and so deepening and broadening monetization would naturally need, you know, the new business model and be comfortable with how do you want to price the data, you know, when you want to, let's say you want to go into as a service model, but what should be the price of subscription? So there is a lot of newer viewpoint that you need of how do you commercialize a new experience that you want to bring it to the market, right? And there must be some, there are a lot of learnings from the B2C market there, but it's interesting to realize this as an important aspect of playing in the ecosystem. Yeah?
Well, it's right, isn't it? Every company strives to fill customer needs ever more diligently and expand and grow that service offering. It's how you grow business, and becoming closer and closer to your customer through connected data is you know, clearly the way industry is going. And so growing the business will automatically probably be channeled along the same path as growing new business and new services. So I think we have to look very carefully at the commercial model, and we have to look at how that translates into you know, not just you know, revenue, but cash flow opportunities as these technologies connect. And you know, if I were a medium-sized company, I would be looking very carefully at the emerging ecosystems and which ones to start playing in, and looking at how I've structured my business so I can do that.
I think one of the interesting plays here also could be if we think about some of the large disruptors within our lifetime, if we think about Apple and the App Store, It wasn't until Apple let in third-party developers that it really took off and exploded. So back to the democratization of the data, looking at how do we engage and encourage customers to have access to the data and to be able to develop on top of it will give, again, whole new insights into how product and services are being used, but also how can that be monetized into new service offerings, a new product. It opens up a whole new different viewpoint of how we use, manage, and share the data within an ecosystem.
Definitely.
Yeah, and all I can add is that, like, as this evolves, right, in the B2B world, the role of the distributors and partners is such an important one that it's a little bit different than in some of the others, right? And so that adds to the challenge for the incumbents and established players to think through, well, if I disrupt this totally, what's my role and what's their role, right? And managing that transition becomes tricky. Take an example in other spaces, like what Netflix did with movie studios, right? Like you traditionally had movie studios selling the rights to the cinemas and then for others to distribute. Well, now there is none of that. It's like, I don't make money off of selling rights to the movie. I make money off of the service of the subscription to keep seeing it, right, and streaming it. So as we think about moves in the B2B world, those dynamics become important, right? And articulating what the value props and how the money will be generated and how the value will be extracted becomes a really important exercise.
Okay, I think that's an interesting, insights. Thank you, for all those conversations. I think maybe, Sanan, we can open out. We have got still 3-4 minutes left. If there are some good questions from the audience, we can take it now.
Yeah, I think there are some good questions out there. Let me see here. I think, Nathan, you had a question in there. Why don't you just go ahead and ask it rather than me trying to read it so we can be a little more efficient. Just open it up.
Yeah, hi everybody. I was just listening to this this thought exercise and thinking about, as an ecosystem grows, you obviously get much better access to distribute your product to new customers and to collect more data, which seems to point me in the direction that the biggest ecosystem is the one that's ultimately going to win. Minus what you mentioned about, obviously, two manufacturers trying to play in the same ecosystem and be direct competitors. So I'm curious, maybe with that aside, do you see this as a race to become the one big ecosystem? Is there benefits in it being distributed? Yeah, curious to hear your thoughts in that direction.
I don't see it as being a purposeful race, but I think ultimately, this evolutionary drive will eventually take us to one or two dominant systems for sure. I really think that.
And I think sometimes it can feel like it's the war between beta and VHS. But in some cases, if we don't think through the strategy very deliberately, it could be Blockbuster versus Netflix, right? We have to be or I would say, don't be comfortable as an incumbent facility in your current state, but we have to, again, have that strategy of what do we want to be able to provide in that ecosystem for our customers and move there.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to see how the role of the government plays in all of that as some of these become big, right? If they're contained within a specific workflow, probably is going to be less of an issue. But once they start competing across many different industries and get an unfair advantage, then you start getting governments involved. So that's totally TBD to see how it's going to shake out. But that's a big, the unknown in the mix.
Okay, guys, we are right at, I just want to say we're right at, my time 6 a.m. I think your time in Central Illinois is 8 a.m. Great discussion. Oh my gosh, my head is going crazy. Guys, check the chat out. There's been all kinds of discussions in there. I don't think we're going to be able to get to all the questions and the answers. What I will say is, hey, this is a way to make some friends. Please, please post your email address in the chat so we can get connected. Join the meetup. The IoT Peoria meetup would be awesome. We will put responses out to the questions both on LinkedIn and at the meetup, and put answers to those because we're running out of time. You know, they always say, as I've learned through my career, you'll learn more from things that go wrong than things that go right. I'm going to be learning a little bit more about co-host and how to pass that back and forth. It sure didn't work like it did in when we dry runned it. So you guys, I'm sorry, but God, this is awesome. I love the thoughts about, boy, you know, your prioritization of your technology. You know, I'm always sitting there, AI, I love that. That's one of the things I think is definitely a game changer. I love Elon Musk and all the stuff he's doing. I love connectivity. And my question is, you know, is Elon going to win the race? Because he's putting all the connectivity out at the, you know, out in space. He's going to have the world completely covered soon. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Great job, you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon.
Nice to see you all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. And
Bye. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great session, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How do I close this?
People are hanging up. I'm going to stay on here a bit.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Good. How are you? Is that Guha?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh.
Great job. Great job organizing it. Awesome.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I learned some lessons today. Guha.
It's very good. It is awesome. Yeah, great, great, great. It's good to bring everybody together, right? This is awesome.
Oh, these guys are great. These guys did a great job. The presenters, just deep thought. Love it. So that was fun. And I'm sitting here chatting with India on my WhatsApp. I'm like, oh my God, I got technology going on.
Hey, so good to see you, on, at least electronically. All right.
Yeah. Stay connected. Okay.
Will do. See
I
you
love
soon.
it. If you got something you want to come into the IoT Peoria meetup, please do. I'd love to.
Yeah, I should.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do. I mean, this is the first time here, so we'll try to see if we can get somebody else to come in too. Right? We can get other people. It'll be good fun.
That'd be great. Bring great topics. This was great. The ecosystem, and I mean, I'm seeing that too, right? Through all of the ecosystems, all the companies I've talked to. This thing's just, I'm telling you right now, technology and abundance, this thing is going, right?
I think that is the key. It's not about winners and losers. It's about abundance, right? Yes. That's the key.
Yes.
How do we create value and wealth, right? That's good. That's probably the right thing any which way we go.
Right. And if you don't do it, you're gonna die. I mean, you better figure it out because yeah, you're gonna get run over if you can't partner, because nobody can do everything, you know. And it's when you add, like, I'm thinking Google, right, with all the search stuff, and I'm thinking about Amazon with all the sell stuff, and you know, just what they were talking about, the whole digital thread and getting the digital thread out there was just, yeah, very cool.
It is. Anyway, I'll catch you sometime soon.
All right.
Thank you, Shannon. Great fun.
Have a great day. Thanks.